Hi, Breda McCague here, co-chair and founder of LeanIn Ireland. Delighted to be joined today by two fabulous women who are part of one of the LeanIn circles in Ireland, Katie Heskin and Helena Sheehan. You're very welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much, Breda.
And today we're going to have a discussion around females, their careers and their career journeys. We're going to talk a little bit about resilience when you're working from home and why not to give up on your dreams. So we kick off with Katie. Katie, what does resilience mean to you?
Resilience is about picking yourself up when things don't go according to plan. And it's also about being conscious of what you're doing. I think sometimes women are inclined in work to kind of maybe let their career drift a little bit. And I think it's important to not let that happen. And, you know, sometimes if things aren't going your way and you're not comfortable in your job and, you know, you're just feeling a little bit pushed down and a bit burdened by what's going on, sometimes it can be useful to take stock and kind of clarify, is this the role that's right for you? Look at, you know, are there other opportunities out there? And kind of be resilient, understand that you've coped with things not going your way previously. And, you know, being resilient is about picking yourself up and, you know, coping and moving onwards.
Definitely, yes. And to that point, I would often suggest that people use success journals, because if you've written down when you've accomplished things or you've managed to get over hurdles that you thought you couldn't, it's very, very good for you and very therapeutic to read through them now and again, which reminds you of other things, like you say, Katie, that you've overcome before. And that'll give you that kind of resilience to try another hurdle of some kind. So we'll go to Helena and I. So same sort of question to yourself, Helena. What would you say resilience is all about for you?
Resilience for me is about a bounce factor. It's, you know, picking yourself, as Katie said, up when things aren't going exactly according to plan. It's prioritizing, planning ahead so that you'll be more successful the next time. It's about visualization. It's remembering back when and what helped you to do well in the past, and utilizing that for whatever the challenge is facing you day by day. Plan, be honest with yourself, move forward and get help. Ask if you need help and bounce back.
Absolutely brilliant, yeah. I remember a quote that would have been probably a big help to me in the past, and it was, she remembered who she was and the game changed. So for any woman or man, anybody watching this, that is maybe struggling or doubting themselves a little bit or worried or nervous about maybe driving their career in the middle of a pandemic, I would say just remember who you are and change the game. So we go on now, because I'm interested to hear in what kind of skills you both learned while in lockdown. So what skills have we now got that we didn't have before we went into lockdowns? So I'll go to yourself, Helena, first this time.
Okay, I'll go first. I suppose one of the most important things is to be paperless. I worked in an office that was full of paper, and now I've no printer here at home and I'm managing perfectly well without it. I've got a bigger screen and it works very well. And the other thing, I suppose, is I've learned lots of new technology tools. I'm Zooming, Teams, and they're fantastic communication tools, especially where you can share screens. And even now, you know, with external customers, we're dealing with them. It's fantastic. You know, I suppose I had a boss when I first started in my career, and they said, you really have to keep up with technology. And you do. And you get a great kick out of it, especially as you get a little bit older and wiser.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we've all learned a lot this year about technology. And Katie, what would you say that the skills are that you've picked up that you wouldn't have had probably before COVID and before lockdowns and working from home?
I think very much an awareness of the importance of being quiet. Sometimes, you know, I wouldn't be necessarily a quiet person, and I would, you know, be quite a talker. And I suppose one of the things is when you are in virtual meetings, whether they're Zoom or Skype or Google Meets or whatever, you often have to take turns to speak. And often the facilitator or the, you know, whoever's running the meeting, the chair of the meeting, asks each individual for their input. And I suppose previously in meetings, other people often would be quiet. So one of the things I've learned is, you know, I have to shut up and let other people speak as well. And I think that has been, you know, quite good for me. And I think, you know, there's certainly the awareness of, you know, sometimes the quiet people, you know, have things to say. Sometimes they don't. And it often surprises me sometimes in meetings when, you know, there could be 5 people on the call and, you know, other people, everybody talks for 10 minutes and one person, you know, literally talks for 20 seconds and is very comfortable in their own skin. And that's all they want to input, and, you know, that's fine. You know, so it is, I think, one of the important things about working from home, because we are using, as Selena said, the technology to help us have virtual meetings, is allowing each person contribute in their own way, and learning how to listen to each other's inputs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think listening does seem to be coming out of the wash on many of the conversations that I'm in these days, that we are all having to learn to listen. We were probably devils for being in offices and meeting rooms and jumping in with conversations and in meetings and with topics that we were passionate about. But yeah, you're right. It's a level playing field for everybody now, and everybody gets to say their piece, which is brilliant. For me, I suppose what has changed for me is, I think, the focus on communication. And again, I'm back to the days where I used to work remotely quite a bit. And I use a lot of channels. So I would use a lot of social media channels to connect with people, to network with people. Plus, internally, I use a mix of everything that is sort of available to us. I use WhatsApps internally. I use the IMs, instant messengers, emails, phone calls. I mix it up as best I can. So I think my communication skills probably have benefited from putting me in lockdown. So that's my bit. So we're going to move now. I want to talk about those of us that know people or are aware of women who change roles during lockdown. Because what concerns me a bit is that many women are quite reluctant to change job or go for a promotion. We have that problem usually pre-COVID as well, where we need to get sort of confidence into some of those women and get them to believe in themselves. So, and going for roles and knowing they deserve those roles and getting those roles, because we need diversity of thought at the senior echelons of all of our organizations and across our industries. And my friend has actually got herself a new job in the middle of lockdowns and COVID. She actually changed jobs and she got herself a really good promotion. And I'm very proud of her. And she's done all of her onboarding virtually. She's meeting her new team. She's interviewing her new team virtually. So it is happening. Many people probably think it isn't happening, but it actually is happening, and it can be done very successfully. So I want to ask Katie of her own experience, because I know you had a recent experience as well, Katie.
Yes, I moved roles during the lockdown. I moved to a new role now within the same company, and it was a sideways move, but it still was daunting. It was moving from, you know, a place where I was comfortable and kind of knew what I was doing to a, you know, a brand new team and a brand new function. But, you know, I was talking to some of my new colleagues probably about 4 to 6 weeks into it, and they were kind of saying, gosh, you know, it feels as if you've been here forever. And certainly we were kind of talking about, because they were kind of planning the onboarding and the induction, and they were kind of going, you know, you really moved quite seamlessly. And I think part of the success of that was the fact that they were aware it was new for me, and certainly they are a great team and they were very open with their expertise. And they also had a regular team meeting that was quite detailed and very open. And as I said earlier, in terms of listening, you know, it was my opportunity to sit back and listen a little bit, particularly in the first few weeks. But I certainly, if people are out there who are kind of contemplating a move or who aren't that comfortable in their existing role, you know, don't feel just because it's lockdown and things aren't happening that it isn't a good time to look, because there are opportunities and there are changes happening because of COVID, and because of ways of working are different because of lockdown. So actually there could be opportunities that you mightn't be aware of. So certainly, you know, don't feel stuck where you are, and don't feel, you know, nervous about onboarding, because the people that you're joining are anxious for you to be comfortable. So they will be making every effort to help you settle in. So certainly I would encourage anybody to certainly, if there is an opportunity that looks as if it could be interesting for you, certainly put your hand up and give it your best shot.
Brilliant advice. Yes, super. Thank you, Katie. So Helena, what have you got to share on that sort of side of things? Have you seen or experienced any sort of job changes yourself?
Well, I'm about to make a change. I suppose the one thing that COVID has done and lockdown has done, it's given us a little bit more time to look at things like our CV. It's allowed us to look at training and, you know, reflect a little bit more on where we are. And I took the decision that it was a job at the same level, but just a different experience within the company that I'm working for. And I suppose I was helped by the fact that some of my LeanIn colleagues within the LeanIn group that I'm a member of, they were also making changes, because Katie was one of them. And with that confidence and whatever, I made a phone call, and they said, oh yeah, come on, give it a try. And I was very much encouraged by it. Got help from one or two of my colleagues in relation to interview skills, and went for it. And I'm moving in about 2 weeks' time. So awesome. I'm looking forward to learning new skills, relearning some old things that I already had learned, upskilling, and basically keeping up to date.
Wow. Well, if there was ever a reason to join a LeanIn circle, I think you've just heard it there. Yeah. So, and again, I suppose not to forget about the importance of our networks and the communities that we have created in terms of LeanIn, and how important networks of any kind and communities of any kind are really crucial now, particularly in lockdown, where you can't see people face to face as easy. So I guess that's the end of our discussion. A little piece of advice maybe from each of you just to finish off. We'll go to you, Katie, first.
Well, it's just interesting about the virtual LeanIn, because when we went on lockdown quite suddenly in March, one of the things Helena and I talked about it, because we're co-lead of a circle in our organisation. What would we do about LeanIn? And we said, oh, well, I said, I have a Zoom account. Let's do a Zoom. So we had a Zoom meeting, and then we were amazed at you know, quite a few of the members of our circle really have relied on the virtual circle meetings happening on a regular basis. And certainly, you know, in August, we kind of said, will we give it a skip and, you know, focus on September? And there was a pushback and said, oh no, we actually would quite like a meeting in August. So we actually haven't had a break, and it's been brilliant. And as Helena said, it's a support network, because particularly during lockdown, when people don't have the normal social interactions in work, the water cooler conversations, the grapevine, just the, you know, the ad hoc coffees bumping into people and, you know, hearing what's going on, having the regular group of people who kind of have your back. And, you know, if people are feeling vulnerable or isolated or upset in any way about something that's happening, they can share it in a very safe environment as part of the LeanIn circle. And you know, sometimes it has been a relatively personal issue, or sometimes it has been just giving people a leg up in terms of a professional support, in terms of encouragement, and, you know, kind of remarking on how well they've done other things. So why do they feel upset about something? So it has really been brilliant, the virtual LeanIn circles. And certainly, if anybody wants to reach out and join, you know, certainly give myself or Helena a call.
Brilliant. Two super advocates of LeanIn circles and two examples of how to do it really well. So to Helena now, with your finishing piece of advice, Helena.
My finishing piece again is, you know, get help, support others, and you will receive it back in return. Believe in yourself, and I suppose visualize what you really want. Plan what you want, and plan, I suppose, how you're going to get there. And you will get there. Believe in it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. And thank you to everybody who's watched this video. We are open to chats, DMs on our social media. So do give us a shout if you want to learn more. And LeanIn Ireland is on website as well. So you can have a look there and across the social media channels. So thank you to both of you for joining today. And thank you to everybody for watching.
Thank you, Breda.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.